Let me ask you something. Inside of your business right now, what is the standard? Not the one you talk about when someone asks. The one that actually runs inside the building every day when you're not looking over everyone's shoulder. Most founders cannot answer that question, not because they do not care about quality, they care deeply. But caring is not the same as building. As a standard that lives inside one person's head, it's not a standard. It is dependency. The moment the person steps away, the standard steps away with them. My guest today has spent 30 years solving that exact problem inside organizations of every size. She has walked into technology companies, financial institutions, and national nonprofit and asked the same question every single time before she touches anything else. What does quality actually mean here? And then she built a structure that made the answer consistent across every team, through every pillar, whether she was in the room or not. Today, she's going to help you do the same for your organization. This is Build Your Own Podcast, all things business.
Welcome to Build Your Own Podcast. All things business, structure, strategy, scale. I'm Tricia. I help entrepreneurs build structurally sound businesses designed to last. Through expert insight and real conversation, we bring you clarity, strategy, and system for growth. Let's build.
My guest today built her entire career around a single question. Every time she walked into a new organization, before she assessed a team, before she recommended a single change, she asked, what does quality mean here? Not what the handbook says, not what the website promises, what the people inside that organization actually produce every day, consistently when no one is watching. And then she built a structure that made the answer consistent through every pillar across 30 years. Enna Jimenez is the founder and CEO of EJ Consulting Group, a strategic growth and partnership consulting firm that partners with corporations and nonprofit to move complex initiatives along the way from strategy through execution. She spent years as the head of quality assurance and senior director of IDEMIA, a global identity security company. There, she led a division-wide transformation that certified over 200 engineers through a new methodology and cut a project that used to take 12 months down to 4. Same team, just better system. She served as Chief Development Officer for a national nonprofit where she built a multi-million-dollar revenue portfolio and onboarded more than 40 corporate partners during one of the most difficult economic periods this country has seen. She served as president of Alpha Boston, one of the largest professional Latinx chapter in the country, with more than 7,000 members for 3 years. Her work there earned her appointments by Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker to serve on the Latino Advisory Commission, the Commonwealth Corporation Board of Directors. She has been featured in USA Today and on Telemundo Mujeres Imparables campaign. She is a co-author of Extraordinary Latinas, Powerful Voices of Resilience, Courage, and Empowerment. She is the recipient of the Alpha Boston 2025 Lifetime Achievement Award and a member of the 2025 United Latinas Top 50 Over 50 list. She is a powerhouse Latina, a published author, a strategist, a coach, and a builder who has never once confused motion with progress. I met her at an event hosted by Mayor Shauna O'Connell here in Taunton. She was the keynote speaker. She was sitting right next to me, and I called her. I took my chance, and she picked up. She said yes without hesitation. Enna, welcome to the Build Your Own Podcast.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here with you. I'm really excited for this conversation today.
Thank you. I am very excited also. I feel like it was divinely orchestrated that you are here today. Your background impressed me, and I connected with you when you told me that you were from quality. And I used to be in quality before I became a full-time entrepreneur. And I said, this is someone I would like to talk to. And the more I did my research, it further confirmed as to why my audience needs to hear from you.
Well, like I said, I'm really excited about that. I've built a career around quality assurance. Oftentimes, you don't see a lot of people who will stay in one, from a software development lifecycle, who will just stay in QA and software quality assurance. But I did. There was something about it, when I did my internship that I really liked. And maybe 7 or 8 years into, just having a job, I eventually realized that it was something that I really loved. Like I really enjoyed being in that quality assurance space and really enjoyed connecting and understanding that what I was doing, what I was building, what I was creating had a huge impact to the company's bottom line. And so being able to apply my experiences and my learnings and my education into helping the companies succeed and bring quality, not just for the teams that I was working on, but throughout the entire organization, was something that I just, you just kind of fall in love with. I usually say that once you jump in, you kind of drink the Kool-Aid and you kind of always just right. In it, you're in it, right? And so that pretty much happened to me with QA, and I've never looked back. It became, the career that I wanted to have.
That's good. I feel like a lot of people don't even think about quality as something that sets the standard for a business. And that's really where I started understanding processes, what system really means, and what it is, why it's the core value of a company for them to understand what quality means. Mm-hmm. So I am excited to dive into the conversation. We usually start with the data and then to bring your expertise for you to talk to us about it. So about 82% of small business closures trace back to operational and financial breakdown. It's not a lack of vision or demand. The standard just was never built to begin with. And you spent 30 years in quality, and you've always asked that one question as I was doing the research. So how do you know when a business actually has it?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, I spent 30 plus years, as we said, in corporate America, right? So every time I go into a different company, you assess, you sort of figure out what is the company doing? What are the different products that they have? You check in and see what is the feedback that you're getting from customers? What are things that are working well, that are not working well? And then you work within the team as well to truly understand what are the standard operating procedures that are in place? What are the processes that have been implemented? And are there things that you can do to make things more efficient, right? Throughout that entire process, you think about the organization. Most companies always most companies always listen to their customers, and they want to have products that their customers love. If the customers don't love their products, they won't be able to sell their products. Right. And so being able to listen to your customer base is really important. And that's a key factor, piece to the puzzle. When you think about quality, is understanding, do we fully understand what it is that we're trying to create? right? And that's where you kind of bring in the requirements and customer input, user stories and or focus groups to be able to truly make sure that you have picked up what your customers want. And so building those requirements and spending the right time to define that, super important. Doing that, it's really going to allow you to make sure that what's being delivered at the end of that road really delivers, really is impactful to your customers. So, when I think about how the different companies I've worked at, it's really just assessing what's working well, what's not working well, and where can you streamline things, where can you make some improvements, some efficiencies. And in doing that, you're increasing the quality of the product, the quality of the teams, and the quality of your company overall.
Nice. I think that's very important for organizations to understand. My niche is small businesses, and I serve, I have a mandate for businesses. I love to help small businesses because I feel had a lot of Black businesses, had in minority, had the proper structure, they would have thrived so much more from the get-go. So that's how, through serving so many different clients, that I've, in my own mistakes as an entrepreneur, that I stumbled upon, not stumbled, I would say, and developed the foundational pillars. And I realized that I'm okay, so if all of these people are having the same issues, and I would like them to lay the proper foundation for their business. So I laid out, I said, okay, when I assess an organization from my point of view, I looked at them legally, not from the lens of an attorney, but I looked do you have the proper documentation that are needed? Do you have your organization's document, your LLC, your different, either your corporation, and do you have operating agreements? Do you have all of these things in place that could make someone look at you differently when you walk into a bank? Right. So I after that, if they understand, if they have partners, do they understand the dynamic of having partnership, and what's written in their contract in case something goes wrong, and how do you go about the shares of the company and all of those different things, because I've had clients where that did not work out and the company ended up having to close because they were not in agreement. And so that's why it started with legal, financial, do you have your account in place, and all of that to see, okay, so in order for me to have a bank account, I needed to have my legal proper documentation ready. Right. So they asked me for my article of organization when I walk in, do you have your EIN to the bank? And they look at you differently when you have those documents. They said, okay, you may be able to, and do you have business credit? Do you understand your credit profile for these businesses? I feel these are all of those different elements of pillars for the foundation of a business. And then it goes into operational, organizational. And then I feel a business can really implement strategy, because for you, as you said, you came in and assessed, and you would have not been able to assess what's not there.
Right. No, for sure. And, I think you really, just reviewed that really, really well, right? Because it's really about what's written down today. What is your current process? And if it's not documented, then creating those standard operating procedures. That is the most, step number one, right? Is really reviewing that and making sure that you have all your ducks in a row. So whether you're a small business, whether you're a corporation, in either instance, you still want to say, I understand what the steps are that we're going to do. I understand where we're trying to get to, and here's the documentation that goes along and follows that through.
So important. So you're listening today. I would like you to take your notepads, because I came in ready for you to be able to understand. We talk a lot about SOPs here. I did not know that SOP was very needed until I got to quality. I said, oh my God, that lays the foundation. I have a hierarchy of document that really lays the foundation for someone to walk in and be able to do the job that you would probably be doing for your company, and lay lays the vision. So a quick word that for your own organization, after years of being inside of nonprofit and corporate, you served as CDO of a nonprofit and you led those entire system and partnership. So I would like to know what made you a credible partner in the eye of a corporate institution before you ever walked into the room?
That's a really good question. I think when I go back into my career, it's really what I've done before, right, and how I established myself. I studied. I became a subject matter expert as I was working my way up my career. I couldn't walk into a room if I didn't really know what I was talking about, right. And so I studied. I read lots of books. I attended lots of conferences. I talked to other people within my teams. I really made sure that I knew my topic so that whenever I walked into any room at any given time, people knew that I knew what I was talking about. The more I did that throughout the years, I was able to gain that credibility. I was able to show folks that, yes, when I say something, it's because I got the stuff to back it up, the experience, because that's really important. And so as I moved through my career, I think it was also important that I was able to brand myself as someone that is smart, is intelligent, that has this entire background in technology, but that is very well connected to the community and to giving back and being sort of that service-oriented leader. With that entire combination, I was really able to just put myself in a place where people were able to see the work that I was able to do. And, oftentimes people, especially us in the Latino community, we tend to not boast about the work that we do, right? You stay quiet until someone asks you a question. And I didn't do that. I wanted people to know what I was doing. I wanted people to know when I was being successful, when I was not, right? I also share that. And so as I did more and more of that, and as I was getting the opportunity or the ask to be on more stages and people heard my stories, I was able to connect and people saw and understood that I was being authentically me. And because of that, I was able to get more brand and more awareness of who I was and more visibility of who Enna Jimenez is. So by the time it came to a point where I was, more senior in my career, a lot of people knew who I was. And so when I took on this role as CDO, right, Chief Development Officer, I had already built this entire career. Being part of the Al Familia is something that has been near and dear to my heart. I've been part of this organization for a very long time. I've got some of my greatest friends came from being part of this organization. So I walked into family. And because of that trajectory, people were like, yes, Enna, you're in the right role. Yes, Enna, we want to talk to you. We want to hear what you have to say. We want to learn more about Alpha, and we want to be able to connect and continue to build together, right? So it was really just the work that I did at the beginning to become a subject matter expert, the work that I did in between my career to gain awareness and visibility, and then making sure that I was able to continue to, share all the things that I was doing through all of my various speaking engagements.
That's so good. Okay, I would like to unpack a little bit. So I would say that the reason why you've built that credibility is first you became an SME, a subject matter expert.
Yes.
And it is very important for someone that is starting in business, whether you are a product, you serve you have a service or it's product based. You need to understand and be a student of that industry. Mm-hmm. So when you're speaking, people can understand that you know what you're talking about.
Absolutely.
It's not only the confidence that matters as well, but when you walk in certain rooms that are going to be able to fact check you, it needs to match.
Listen, without that, you got nothing, because people can tell, people can see right through you if you're completely, making stuff up, right? Mm-hmm. And we know now in the times that we're in, where you got chat GPTs and you got, social media and all this stuff, people can say that they know all this information, but you also have to truly know it, right? So when you're starting a new business, you have to start it in something that is you're going to spend the time to really become educated, because you cannot go and stand in front of someone and talk about a particular subject if you really don't know that subject. Like, you can't, right? You have to really believe in it. And then in order to convince people to want to continue and have them stay there and listen to you as well, right? That you also need to be able to say, why is this important? How does it connect to the greater good? Right? Why should someone want to connect and learn more about, your business or, your company, right?
And who you are. I think that's amazing. And the fact that you also built a community while doing it. And I feel like that was intentionality in your career to be able to have that visibility for you now to have EJ Consulting. And that firm is built, you have a roster of people that can serve as your client. Yes. So as someone that is transitioning from corporate or looking to build their business, you have to have that in the back of your mind, that like, eventually long-term goal, I would love to be able to do this. So serve well in the field that you have been placed. So if you are in an industry, I know that a lot of people these days, well, I'm a millennial and we don't stay a lot in jobs and everything like that. But becoming that subject matter expert, even if you were to go to another company, it will help you along the way. And you've been a testament of that.
I think the other thing is, don't burn bridges. If you're going to leave a company or a job, leave gracefully, right? Make sure that you are still connected, that you, like I said, just leave gracefully, because you never know who is going to be in a room in the future that may ask you about a past job or a past role. Mm-hmm. So you want to have people that are going to be in your corner. I think especially us servant leaders and people who are always looking out for the community and giving our above and beyond our time and effort, right? We don't know, we give of ourselves so much and we don't know who we're always impacting. But the reality is we are impacting people. There are people that are watching us, that are looking up and seeing our every single move. And so it's just important to stay centered around that and to really make sure that you show up authentically every single day.
Well, thank you for that. So about only 24% of minority-owned businesses are recognized as credible by institutional partners on the first contact. Those with established structure and a clear track record are far more likely to be considered. That's a sort from the Federal Reserve Bank. So that further proves that you are to be a student. You are to be a subject matter expert in your field. We usually start into the legal foundation, but I think that starts the episode with the foundational work that you must do as a person that is starting a business. So we are going to keep moving on. You have left all behind and started your own firm. And what was the first thing you put in place when you built EJ Consulting Group?
So about 3 years ago, I decided to step away from corporate America and, kind of go on my own. I ended one job on a Friday afternoon, and Monday morning I called my friend who's a CPA, and I said, okay, we need to I'm going to start my business. So first thing was you create your LLC, create your business checking account, establish what it is that you want to do a business, and that's super important. Think about a name, as silly as that might sound.
Right.
You have to have a name, because otherwise you're going to have to updating your LLC, and you don't want to have to be doing that. But centering around, what is it that I want to serve? Who do I want to serve, right? So establishing who I want to serve, what do I want to serve them with, why do I want to offer my services? So establishing all of those procedures was super important, as well as creating a website. Right? Because without a website, no one's going to be able to find you. And so creating a website that had all the information about me was some of the first steps that I took. And then what I think was really the most instrumental, or one of the most important steps, was letting people know getting the word out there, connecting to my network, reaching out to people who I probably haven't spoken to in a very long time and saying, hey, I've started a new company. This is what I'm doing, right? Emailing people the services that I have so that more and more people knew about it. And maybe they didn't have something for me, but they might know of someone that would, right? So going back and reconnecting with folks that I hadn't spoken to in a long time was some of the things that I did starting out.
I'm interested to know, how did that feel as someone that is starting and for new entrepreneur people that just are very shy about promoting their business? How would you say that process was for you and why it was so important? What difference did it make in setting the foundation of like exposure for your company?
I think it was critical. Right. And I think it was scary. Absolutely. Very, very scary. I think before I told people, I was just like, oh my God, am I really going to do this? Am I going to do this? I'm going to go find another full-time job. Right. I mean, it was a big decision.
Right.
Because, you have stability, right? Stability, full-time job, medical, healthcare, I mean, everything. Right. And then you're like, I'm just going to go start my own company and become an entrepreneur. Okay. And you're not quite sure what's going to happen the next month or the following month, right? So it was absolutely scary. I don't want to sit here and tell you that it wasn't. There was many days where I had doubt, where I wasn't sure, am I doing the right thing or not? Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. Deep down inside of me, I knew I was doing the right thing. Deep down inside of me, I knew that there was people out there that needed my services, and I knew that I could help them. And that is what helped me push forward. Right. And the only way to have them learn more about me was to talk about what I was doing. Mm-hmm. And so I reached out to my close network. I reached out to sort of my, first connections, my immediate connections, the people that truly knew me. And through their encouragement, through their, rah, you got this, you can do this.
Right.
Then you kind of get that confidence that, okay, I can do it. And then, the more and more people tell you that you can do it, then the more you start believing it. And you're like, okay, now I can really do it.
Yes.
But that's how I started, right? Just you kind of work with your inner circle. I think that for me, that was, really important. Talking to my inner circle first, having them kind of flush things out. Don't do this, don't do that. And maybe say it this way, maybe say it that way. Position yourself here. This is who you should target, right? So taking all that information in was part of that process in order to really make sure that I felt extremely confident.
That's good. Well, I hope that you're learning so far.
Learning a lot.
Yes, because it's very scary. I think I can relate to you as someone that I was stable. Quality, that quality sector in a part of the industry in pharmaceutical does provide some form of stability. And to now being full-time entrepreneur running several businesses is very scary. It's very scary, but you have to put yourself out there. You have to let people know what you do, who you are. And when someone comes, even into your social media, are they confused about what you do? Because at some point I used to be so afraid of sharing about what I do because I was not that confident. Because for me, it just came I'm a big proponent on following the voice of God. And I know when he speaks to me, he tells me to do something and it doesn't match up with my current circumstance and people don't understand what I'm doing. So it took time to build that. So I would definitely relate on really putting yourself out there. It will make or break your business.
Absolutely. And you said it, right? You have to really praise God and put all your faith in God. I mean, I would not be sitting here today if it wasn't because I put all my faith in God. I'm a huge, believer and prayed every single day, especially during that time, right? But it was really important, and family. Family is at the core. My family is my rock. And if they were just, my family, if you're out there, y'all know I love you guys so much because my family is who held me down, when things get tough, they're the ones that are there, helping you along the way. And they're the ones that are saying, you got this, right? So important. So family and, God and putting everything in his hands. And honestly, and knowing that God got you.
He does.
You know, it's like, God got you. And to me, that's really important because every now and then we're like questioning, is this the right path? And let me tell you, God got you. And if you're going down the path, listen to your gut. You'll never fail.
He has never failed me. Like, I have started this business. Like, it really, if you go past it, like, I've really shared my story. One day I'll get to share even more and probably write it in a book, because there's so much that God taught me through entrepreneurship, and he broke me. Okay. Yes. In the area where it needed me to thrive. And he allowed me to just go on a journey where I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew I was following his direction. Mm-hmm. And I sat here, if you're sitting here on these couches today, like it took 1 year of coming here every single day and praying without having one single furniture, and then really knowing, like, what are you doing with me? You've brought me here. You asked me to sign the lease. Now give me the vision. And today, like, it's coming to fruition, is really believing and then putting myself out there. I would walk around this downtown Taunton, and then going to businesses and then passing out flyers and introducing myself, say, hey, this is what I do. Yes, sometimes it didn't work. Oftentimes, majority of the time it did not work, but it did something inside of me to nurture the fact that I need to put myself out there more. That now I'm more comfortable, even talking to you and then picking up that phone call to be like, hey, would you like to? It's just a stepping out in faith that I know the vision that I'm bringing forward and what I want to build in this generation for entrepreneurs. So you have to be clear about who you are. That's your foundation.
You couldn't have said it any better. And, you know, that kind of leads into, you know, there's a new initiative that I started. It's called the Coaching Experience. And there's a space where coaches, especially coaches who, you know, sort of up and coming and trying to build and make their own, are able to come to a space where we're inviting those who are looking for coaches to kind of create that match, right? And so there's a wonderful opportunity for those that are out there to really find that right person that's going to help you, guide you, and kind of walk that line that you need to be able to kind of make sure that you're in the right space, right? But I wouldn't have thought about this. I wouldn't have been able to have established that if I hadn't walked that path, if I hadn't allowed myself to just let God talk to me and say, this is where you need to go. Right. This is what I'm telling you to go down this journey. And as much as you question it, you're like, should I? And then you're like, no, I absolutely should. And so I'm really excited about, you know, being able to partner with my co-chair, my co-host.
Congratulations on that.
Yes. And so Clara Angelina Diaz and myself have put together this amazing event. We held the first one back in April. We've got another one coming up now in July. And so it's going to be a wonderful event.
I cannot wait. Well, maybe I can join.
Absolutely.
This is something like I want to connect even more in the community. So we'll definitely be doing that. So we're going to, before we even move into the financial pillar, if you sat here thus far, you still made it through this episode, I would like you to pause and subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on your notification. We would like your support to grow this channel, to be able to allow other entrepreneurs to learn about it. Share it with an entrepreneur every single time you watch an episode, and have them come back and tell you what they learned from this entrepreneur. So we will now move on to the financial pillar. This is one of my favorite topics. So 82% of small businesses that fail cite that financial mismanagement as a primary cause, not the lack of revenue. The money is coming in, but there was no system to manage it. So this is from a source from U.S. Bank study on small businesses failure cited by SCORE. So you manage a financial system at every scale, from corporation, division to multi-million-dollar to nonprofit portfolio to your own firm. So what does a $100,000 business and a $100 million organization have in common financially?
Wow. I mean, it's a very deep question.
Yes.
You know, I think that when it comes to managing finance, everyone, you know, It's hard for me to talk about it from a corporation, right? In my role in various corporations, certainly I'm not the person managing the overall company. I've managed my budget within my team. And so from that aspect, right, I can talk about how we put together our budget and how we tracked against the goals that we had for the company, and making sure that, the staff, salary and professional development, all the things that needs to be included were accounted for, given what the projects were coming up for the following year, right? And so you always want to make sure that you have a good, healthy balance between what you can spend and what's being brought in for the company. I think when you think about a small business entrepreneur company where if you're just starting out, you probably got everything commingled into one checking account, and you're not differentiating, what's business and what's personal. You're probably not paying yourself. And those are the mistakes that often small businesses make, right? And so the very first things you need to do is create a business checking account, separate all of your business expenses so that all of those expenses come out of your business checking account. And then you also want to pay yourself so that you have a salary coming out of that business, and that salary is what gets sent to your personal account, and that's what you use to do all your other personal things. Now, having said that, I know it's tough. I definitely did not start off structured. I had, even though I created the business checking account, I still had things commingled. I was paying stuff from one and the other, depending which one had money on whatever given day. Right. Because that's what you do when you're starting out. You're like, yeah, I need to pay for this. Yeah, I'm going to sign up for this other thing. You just make it happen. Clearly, you learn from those mistakes, and then you're like, let's not do that. Right. Let's make sure that things are divided, that things are clear, that everything is where it needs to be. And that's really, again, comes in with the process and, making sure you've got an accountant, making sure that you got your right team around you, supporting you, and ensuring that you are doing the right stuff so that your business can grow. We all, and I say we all, I include myself with that. Right. We all have made that mistake of just starting and just commingling everything. We've all done it, right? The important thing is to recognize it and then to pivot and change. Right. That's the important part. And then making sure that you've got everything the right way set up so that, when tax season comes, it becomes a lot easier for you to do all your deductions. And, year one, you're not going back and going into your accounts and be like, okay, let's go back and see what we did January of last year. And was that a business expense or was that a personal expense? And I say that because I did that year one. And then I was like, okay, I can't do this again. So now let's get ourselves coordinated so that we don't do it again.
Yes, that's what I teach every entrepreneur, every client that comes in, because I've made the mistake. I don't want someone else to do the mistake, and them understanding that you must separate your finances. That's what I preach. I teach it because I don't know how much more I have to say it, and I'll say it as many times as I need to, because during tax season, you will pay it. And then it also doesn't give clarity.
Yes.
And when you need to, so one thing I've learned this year, when you are getting ready, because your company is not meant to say small. For small entrepreneurs, they think that they are small, but a small entrepreneur business is considered less than $500,000. So if you're generating less than that, that's what's called a small business. But starting even $100,000, I feel like you need to even set yourself, reorganize, restructure your business, talk to your CPA, because there's going to be more expenses, and then your salary is really going to look different. Your salary may go from $5 a month, and then now you have a salary that really probably matches what you used to get paid in corporate. Then what do you do?
Exactly. Yeah, no, for sure. And that's, again, where a lot of small business owners are not tax savvy, right? And so you need to be able to partner with the right people. Make sure you have your CPAs. Make sure that you have your tax people and
your bookkeeper,
right? Accounting software, a CRM system. It's so important to be able to capture all the work that you're doing. So it's really important to be able to have all those things in place when you're starting out new. And here's the great thing. most of these softwares and most of these things, they have free, there's like a basic level that you can purchase, because when you're starting out, as I'm sure you know, it's like, you don't necessarily have a lot of cash flow. And so you have to make sure that you're able to manage everything. But the option of not doing it should never be on the table. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely.
You always want to, it's better to have something in place to get that, pay a little extra and either get a bookkeeper, get a software that's going to help you to do it, get something. But it'll be much better to do that than to not do it.
Absolutely. Talk to me a little bit more about your CRM, your experience with it. I'm interested to know, different entrepreneurs, what they use and how they use it and how it has helped your business financially.
Yeah, so I use HoneyBook. I didn't think about it. I use HoneyBook. And so it's been great. It allows me to have a intake form. It allows me to really automate the process. People can schedule meetings right in my calendar. I'm able to see everything. Both from how many people have scheduled meetings with me, how many leads have come in, how many folks have completed a form that I have them fill out, all the way through, did I close a contract, who stalled, who do I need to go back and follow up with, and then it gives me at the end of the year a complete overview of how has the year been. And then you can take, and there's a report that you can create for your taxes as well, which then you use that for when when you're going to go do your taxes. So very seamless, very easy to use. So yeah, I highly recommend HoneyBook. It was really good.
That's good. I've experienced HoneyBook, but I also have I've used Calendly. I've used different systems. You have to just use what works for you, what makes sense for your business. But there's something for every budget. There is.
And so I have a calendar link on Calendly, a calendar link on HoneyBook, a calendar link on Zoom, and I think there's something else that I have out there. And the reason for that is because why pay for the expensive one when you can get one free? You have a free version, right? That you can have a calendar for each one. But when you have different things, all you have to do is have them in the different systems. And you don't need to have more than one.
Right.
So that's a quick little trick.
Yes. So learn from that. And then that makes your life a little bit easier. So when you look at everything that you have going on, because they're in different systems, they don't talk, but being able to merge those calendars, yes. It really does wonders. I've done it.
Yes, it does. It does. Everything comes connected into one Google Calendar, so you get to see your entire map in one place. Absolutely beautiful.
That's what I've done. And then I help other entrepreneurs do that because when I come in, I feel lack of structure because that's all my branding. It starts with because you don't have visibility with what's happening in your life.
Yes.
Financially, if you don't see it, it's not happening.
Yeah. If it's not on my calendar, I'm not going. Because I will forget. Trust me. People will call me and say, oh, Enna, we're going to do X, Y, Z. And I forget to put it in my calendar. It's gone. It's gone from my memory. And they'll be like, you didn't show up. I was like, I'm so sorry. It wasn't on my calendar, which means I don't remember.
That's good. Well,
yeah.
Make sure that you organize yourself financially, operationally, so you can understand that you need to fill in the gaps in other areas, and then it will expose what areas you need to focus more on. So Latinas business owners, I am Haitian, by the way, but as a Black community, I know that we're speaking to specifically your group. Latina business owners receive loan approval rates of only 39% from banks, compared to 65% of white men. The reason cited is not a lack of revenue. We said that again. It is a lack of documented financial infrastructure. And that is from the Stanford Latino Entrepreneurship Initiative state. So you have watched founders generate real revenues and still hit a wall when the moment that they needed to grow. When do most founders break down financially once they start to grow?
When do they break down financially? I think that there's a growth that happens, right? And if you don't adjust yourself accordingly, you may not be able to sort of reap those benefits because sometimes, and not always, but sometimes when people are set up, so they're either solopreneurs, so they're doing everything, and all of a sudden their business starts to grow, and now you've got a huge demand, not enough time because, you're the one doing everything. So you need to operationalize, you need to automate as much as possible, and then you're able to scale. So when you're growing as you continue to grow as a small business owner, you want to make sure that you're operationalizing, that you're automating as much as possible in order to enable you to continue your growth, right? It's all about how do you scale, and how do you scale with, how do you scale and still be able to deliver at the same rate that you were delivering when you were smaller, right? So I don't know. I mean, I think it's an interesting question. I'm not necessarily sure that I know all the answers to that, but what I've seen other people do is really you expand, you bring in others into your group, you bring in people to help you, you delegate. Delegating is so important, something that all of us, we hate to do, especially when you start off as a solopreneur, right? But you have to delegate. You have to expand your team. You have to bring in people that you trust. And sometimes you bring in someone and that may have not been the right person, and that's okay. They came, they helped you, and then you move on. Sometimes you need to replace them. But when you think about growing your company, you have to make sure that you have operationalized and that you have automated and that you've expanded your team. Those are the key things that I've seen are important.
I think you've answered it. I think that's exactly what I was looking for someone, because you've seen other companies, you've managed other budget, you've managed like different groups, and you've seen that what the intersect of growing and stagnation.
Yes.
So the stagnation will come if you're not able, you said it before, you're not able to operate at the same level and delivering at that same capacity. Talk to me more about like how can someone assess that? So you at the point where your company is growing, you come in as let's say that you're doing quality for them. And I feel like in quality, you've had to look into those different areas where now there's going to be different capacity. You have to talk about okay, do we have enough products, supply and demand? So like for someone that is in the product business, you've, as your experience in the pharmaceutical, like that they have to come into a point where they need to grow. So walk me through that process of what you would think about, like what do they need to look at first? And how do they go from point A to the point where they're able to deliver at that new capacity where their business is going?
So, when you do that first assessment, right, as you stated, you sort of take account of everything, of all their assets, of all the procedures, of all the team members and who's doing what, and kind of have a full accountability of all of that. Then from there, you want to kind of go into your various expertise that you bring in to establish, okay, is there a way that we can become more efficient? Is there a process that we can introduce that can help us go a little further faster? And so when you do that evaluation and you kind of put together a proposal, right, then you kind of go into the implementation phase. And now you're going to be able to say, okay, I'm going to break things up into chunks. I'm going to first maybe address this piece. And then, you create a map, a framework of the different pieces and what order you're going to execute those on, right? And I apply that in I think, go back to, when I was in corporate America, walking into a brand new job, right? Those are the things that I've done, right? You kind of assess the team, you sort of say, what can I put myself into? How can I improve a procedure? How can I document something? How can I find efficiencies? And working with everybody, project managers, your developers, your business analysts, right? You work with the entire team to be able to figure out what are some things that you can tweak. And you start small. You start in one department, one team, one product, and then you kind of, not twist, and then you kind of pivot as you're going through that process, find what works, what doesn't work, and then eventually you get to a place where it's like, okay, this works, I see it, I can expand upon that, and now you can take that and apply that to the rest of your teams. And eventually you will see how you can expand that to entire departments. So that's pretty much how, I sort of do that whole assessment, design, coming up with that right strategy, and then implementing and executing that strategy.
And do you also look into the budget for that?
Oh, yes. Because, I mean, again, as part of that assessment, you're looking at everything. Sometimes you want to say, you may want to look at a different tool, or you might be paying too much for a tool, and there could be a different tool that can do the same work better and faster and cheaper, right? And so you look at all of those factors as well. Really important.
So would you say that earlier when I was reading your bio and it said like how you took that project from 12 months to cutting down to 4 months, you use the same principle to establish that like for that project in order to for it to happen, this assessment?
So, when I worked at that company, when I first started, they had a large engineering team. And in that team, it would take anywhere between 12 to 18 months to release a product to production. And so what we ended up doing was we looked at how the engineering teams were staffed, how teams were created together. We implemented a new what's called an agile methodology, sort of recreated or restructured the team so that they became a bit more efficient. And that allowed us to really take a look and say, if we're doing feature A, let's make sure that we complete feature A from A to Z. Let's make sure that we lock that in, that's solid, that's good. And then you move on to the next one. By breaking things like that into those functions, we were successful in reducing how long it was taking us to do the work. And then what was really the kicker was that we templatized that so we can then use that for the next project in order to allow us to become faster and faster. So it was about finding those things that were cookie cutter or those things that were the same and creating a template out of that so that you can say, okay, every project is always gonna do steps B, step D, and step F. Awesome. Let's automate those steps. Let's figure out how do we bring it into its, smallest factor. And now you could able to say, I can rinse and repeat that every single time. So the next time the project came through, you already knew that these components were going to be there. So you didn't have to spend a lot of time redoing those. So that's how we were able to reduce the time to market.
That's beautiful. I think like it's systems, like as you said, efficiency. And how do you think like it translates to a solopreneur? We always bring it back down to solopreneurs.
It really comes down to looking at what it is that you're doing, right? Like we said, right? If you're a solopreneur, especially now in this day and age where there's so much AI, how are you implementing AI as part of your business? Are you using it to help you get leads, to help you schedule your meetings, to help you reply to emails? Today, if anyone is not doing that, you're just missing out, right?
Right.
So everyone should be using these AI tools to allow you to become much more efficient.
What would you recommend as what has made you efficient these days?
I'm between both ChatGPT and Claude. And so Claude has co-work, which allows you to kind of give it some tasks and it'll just go off and create those tasks for you. And it can, connect to your email and respond to emails, or at least let you know, hey, you haven't responded to this email. I haven't done it. I haven't gone as far as having it auto respond for me because I like to respond to people, but it does at least reminds me, this email, you have responded to these, 5 or 6 people in the last 2 days. So it gives me these reminders that allows me to make sure that I'm getting back to people. But so that's, those are some of the things that I've been able to do with it so far.
That's good. So I feel like it still helps you financially, with your business to really lay the foundation, because all of these tools that we don't think about, like, even though like we talked about having a checking account, business account, like saving account in order for you to pay yourself to be able to save some of those income for the IRS when the time comes, but also like setting up these tools like financially to be able to set yourself up for success. So I am a big proponent of AI. Yes, I use it to make myself better because I understand who I am. Because with my mind, I said like I can even go further because I have a tool that can like amplify what is already in there and where I want it to head it. I don't let it lead me. I run it. That's how I say.
That's what needs to happen. Absolutely.
Yes, because like I like oftentimes it gives you certain things and then you don't fact check it. If you're not the subject matter expert, you will present it somewhere and then you will not look pretty.
Yeah, exactly. You always have to make it your own. You can't just rely on these tools and assume it's going to do everything for you. When I talk to some of my counterparts who still, in software development in their different companies, and they ask, Enna, how would you use these tools in corporate world? And you still can't use them, because the reality is, in our work, there's so many things that are just, you do the same task over and over and over again. And so if you automate that, or if you have the AI help you with those tools, guess what? Now you can bring your expertise. Now you can leverage what you know to really test something, to really assess, is this going to be a product that customers are going to love, right? Are our customers really going to like this? And it allows you to put yourself into these different shoes, and really apply your thought process, right, to what you're trying to do. And so I do think that as much as people are afraid of using AI, it is, if anyone is still not using AI today, you have to, like, you just have to.
You do. Understand, you have to be, I feel like, the way that I look at it is that you have to understand it allows you to now be very specific.
Yes.
It will be as good as specific as, like, let me rephrase that. The answer will be the best answer if you are very specific to exactly what you are looking for. It can create anything.
Yes.
It can give you anything, but you have to know how to ask the right question to be able, and that really enhanced my skills to be able to become very specific.
Yeah, no, it's really important. And the reality is, there's so many training and tutorials and so many people that are teaching this stuff online today that there'll be no reason for someone to not be able to do it. But yeah, no, absolutely. It's so much needed today.
It is needed. Well, we have talked a lot about the financial, all of these things that are very needed. We will be transitioning into the operational pillar, because I feel like that's the general path. So once you understand, like, legally what is needed in the legal pillar, you understand your financial pillar. Now you need to operate this business.
Yes.
And we've talked about that a little bit through our conversation. And I'll start with some data. Organization that undergo deliberate operational restructuring improve deliberately speed by 30% to 50%, and reduces costs from 20% to 30% using the same workforce. The variable is not effort, it is system design, which you talked about a lot. And I've asked you that question and how you were able to go from 12 months into 4. So what has changed inside of that organization once you're able to do that?
You just, it's really about streamlining the process, and it's really about, applying quality to the entire process. So corporations today, when you're thinking about requirements, or when you're thinking about what it is that you want to build, well, you have to think about the end result first, right? And so how should something function? What do you want the customer, whomever is going to be that end user, what do you want them to feel when they're using your product? Whatever your product might be, right? So you have to start there. And then from there, you're able to then design whatever it is, what you need to design in order to execute on that. So, at the end of the day, you want to think about, in order to get from A to Z, what Z should look like, because that's your end result, right? That your end user needs to be really happy. And then work your way back. Automate as much as possible, operationalize, create efficiencies. And that's what I was able to do in those roles. And that's what I continue to do and throughout my company today, helping organizations really think about corporate strategies. How do you get in front of corporations? How do you, create relationships so that you can get sponsorships, partnerships, so that corporations can help you fund your nonprofit, right? But corporations aren't just going to give you money. They want to understand why. What is the value add? Why should they want to know about this organization? And then the bigger part is, how do their employees also connect to that? How are you also impacting the community at large? These are the questions that you want to think about, and you want to make sure that everything that you do inside is facilitated and operationalize in a way that you can answer these questions extremely easy and very straightforward.
Straightforward. This is very interesting. Like, talking more, like, no, I think it's time to pause and talk about, I know we're still under the organizational pillar, but because you've mentioned that a lot, I think that we should pause and ask, really, what is the service that you provide in depth for your EJ consulting?
Oh, sure. Well, thank you for asking. So it's a couple, so we've talked a lot about what I've done from a quality assurance in my role in corporate America, which is where I spent the bulk of my career. So of course, I'll always continue to offer any consulting services to organizations. But I think what I've been really focusing on right now is really corporate strategies. So helping nonprofits specifically think about how do you build relationships with corporations in order to facilitate, in order to bring together a corporation to become interested in your nonprofit, right? So that the whole corporate fundraising, corporate partnership, that's really what I try to help organizations with today. And then the other part, of that is the event that I talked about earlier, which is the coaching experience. Is something new that I just launched this year with my co-partner, and we're looking to really expand that. The goal is to start here in Boston and then eventually do the coaching experience in cities all over the United States.
And you've traveled for work all over the United States, right?
Of course. I love traveling, so that's always been good.
And that's good. So you're probably going to be using your like circle, like your connection to be able to go into these rooms. So that goes back to the connection. Well, that really allowed me to understand like what you really do, so I can talk more into the operational, like the way that you have run this. So the way that you help organization to like, how you're going to be able to come into a corporate firm to be able to fund the vision. Does that also apply to a for-profit organization?
Yeah, it absolutely would apply as well. I've been kind of focused right now on nonprofits, but for-profit organizations would also be able to have the same process as well.
That is interesting. I would love to know more about that even afterwards, because that is important for other organizations to begin to know. And a lot of the time, I think the reason why I'm asking that question operationally is that, like, in order for visibility for organization and to run that organizations, oftentimes you need that visibility from big corporation. Yes. And how do you step from as a solo entrepreneur to come into a big organization, a corporation, to have them want them to listen to you, first of all, and align with their values, and to be able to secure even some funding to do things for them? Because a lot of entrepreneurs don't understand that even though you came from the corporate world, you can still serve your corporate world with your business.
Exactly. Oh my God. Yes. And that is probably one of the biggest misses that people do today, right? Not leveraging your network, not going back to them and offering them your services as a consultant. So that is definitely something that people do.
That's beautiful. Well, one thing I talk a lot is about having the ability to transition from being a solo entrepreneur to be able to scale your company. Because once you've laid the foundation now, you can be very strategic to be able to scale at a level where you're going to have to not be as present. Not that you will not be present, but you will be working in your area of genius and to be bringing other team members to help you bring the vision forward. So how do you get an entire team to own a standard instead of the owner carrying it alone?
Yes. So it's really about sharing the story and making sure that you bring them along. Whenever I have a team, I'll let them know why am I approaching things in the way I'm approaching it, right? Helping them see the vision. You want to be able to storytell, and through storytelling, you're able to share the kind of the why something is important. There are multiple ways that you can approach something, but why the approach that you're taking is the one that people should follow. And ultimately, you want to be able to sort of bring a couple of people, so kind of bring them into the fold, sharing with them a little bit more behind the scenes so that they truly understand all the steps. And then to the larger group, you may want to give them a bit of a higher visibility or higher overview, and then give them, kind of small tasks as they go through the process. So I've been successful in just kind of building teams and getting team morale, and getting folks around, getting folks to want to join and be part of that. That the way I talk about it is, I'm inviting you to come on this train journey with me. And these are the reasons why I'm inviting you to be hop on this train. We're going to go really, really fast. I have very high expectations. Hopefully all of you will want to be, take this ride with me, knowing very well that there'll be going to be some people that are not going to take that ride with me. And that's okay. And I let them know, right? If you're not ready to take the ride with me, that is okay. And I'll help you, find your way to something else that makes more sense for you. Those are the conversations that I've had throughout my career with different people. But at the end of the day, you want to, through storytelling, have them hopefully embrace and feel connected to it. One other thing I'll say is, you also want to bring them into the fold as far as all the decisions that are being made. Make them feel like they have ownership of that. Like they also came together to make certain decisions. So I try to provide sort of the large overview of what I'm trying to accomplish, but I help them be part of the details in between, right? Because that way they don't feel like I'm just imposing on them a specific path, but I'm like, you know what, this is the general idea that I want to go to. How about if you all help me fill in the gaps? Help me put together everything so that we're all doing this collectively. When I've done that, I have had extreme success because people now take ownership of it and like, yeah, this is what we all agreed upon. This is what we want to do. So we can stand behind it,
Allow your team to fill in the gap.
Yes.
And then bring them along the journey and the vision of what you are building. You think that's what's going to make an entrepreneur that is trying to scale very successful at being a servant leader. At first, you have to be.
Yeah, I mean, and of course, it might be a little bit different when you're just a small business, because if you're starting out as just you, or maybe it's just 2 or 3 people, then you have to be a bit more, you have to drive. Right? Because they're just going to listen to what you say, and you want to still share with them, but you have to kind of be in that driver's seat and be like, okay, I'm the conductor. We're taking, we've turned on the engine. The train is going to leave the station, and we're now going to chug along slowly, and then eventually we're going to go faster and faster. And you hope that the team is keeping up, and that you're bringing them along with you so that they stay on that train with you.
That's good. I think like entrepreneurs need to really understand and grasp that concept, so we can now get to a phase that like it's becoming clear that there are skills that are required in order for you to grow a team and in order for you to step away a little bit, because it's very time consuming to be an entrepreneur. And then once you have that, and one thing I've been like an advocate about is SOPs.
Yes.
And work instructions for smaller tasks, like lower level tasks. So when someone comes into the organization, they don't have to wonder, what's your workflow? What's your process? And that was taught to me by quality, because I used to be in those like really revising those SOPs and then telling other teams, this is good, this is not good. We're redlining this, we're redlining that. And like, it really made me think about like all of the little details that you would not have thought about. And we talked about AI.
Yes.
So what I use and do now, I always think about my mind from the perspective of quality. And I always tell it like, document the steps. Because I've repeated these steps, I know the outcome, I know what to do. Now put it into a standard operating agreement that has like all of the different like components that I need. And then later I'll break it down to a lower level document. And then it's to even become like a procedure, like a policy for the company. Yes. So now like I can have different hierarchy of documents that someone can come in and help me.
That's so important. I mean, I think the steps that you just, listed is exactly the way it needs to be done. And as more and more small business owners, entrepreneurs really follow those steps and implement those steps into their everyday work, it's going to be, they're going to be much more successful. So I couldn't agree with you more.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. We are almost like getting to our last pillar. Yeah. So 90% of organizations fail to execute their strategy successfully. The leading cause is not the flawed strategy. It is the absence of structural accountability underneath that plan. It's from the Harvard Business Review. Your entire consulting practice exists because organizations come to you with a strategy and no structure sometimes to hold it and for you to guide them. What breaks inside an organization when strategy arrives before the structure?
I think it's when you have strategy without a structure, it's like you have an idea. You may have a wonderful idea, but without structure, that idea may not go anywhere, right? And that's the reality. You really need structure in order to execute on that strategy. And most successful organizations have a structure in place. And the structure doesn't have to be solid, right? It doesn't have to be the best structure, but it certainly has to be a structure that allows you to implement and execute the strategy. That's so, so, so important. Because the straight, so yeah, I won't repeat myself, but strategy is important because you have to be able to know where you want to go. But without the structure, you won't go very far.
Well, and that further proves like what we do here at Build Your Own. That is one of our sayings, structure before strategy.
Yes.
Because if that is not there, you will not be able to lead. You will not be able to bring forth the vision. And you'll be going backwards because now, like, I feel like when you get into strategy mode, it exposes what's weak in your organization.
Yes.
And then like, if it's weak, like, eventually it will explode in your face. You will have to go back and sit down and fix it.
Yeah. And it'll just be much more difficult, right? And it's going to take you twice as long, sometimes 3 times as long to execute something when you don't have a good structure in place. So if you're a brand new entrepreneur and you're just starting out, you need to have that vision because you need to know where you want to go. You need to have the strategy because you also need to know how you're going to get there. But then you have to build that foundation. And in order to do that, you probably have to build the team around you to help you execute help you build the foundation to then help you execute that strategy.
Well, thank you so much, Enna. So we will move on to like the legacy portion about like who you are. You've built companies, you led institution, you've written even your story and opened doors for the women that are coming behind you. What is the next generation of Latina leaders look like at the structure of your life? What do you want it to have taught them?
When I think about legacy, I think about those who have come before me, right? I think about those who have opened doors, who have broken through glass ceilings, who have worked extremely hard, who have experienced even worse things than I have trying to just make ends meet. Right. And so I've gone through my own career where I've opened doors for others, where I've helped bring others along, where I've used my story to help sort of prevent others from experiencing the same things. And so my legacy is what I hope is that it's going to become easier for others to be in those spaces, to be in those rooms where you often think, why aren't we in those rooms? Why are we not invited into those rooms? And, nowadays it's about if you want to be in a room and someone is not letting you in, then just, create a new room, right?
That's what we're doing here.
Create a new room and bring all your people along and then just, be successful and do that while making sure that you're having fun, because we got to have fun while we're building, but you don't forget to bring someone else along with you. So very important.
And who are you bringing in for the next couple of years right now that you're looking? What is the type of entrepreneur that you're looking to grow like into the next powerful Latina or minority?
I think that this event that I'm creating, this sort of experience, the coaching experience, this is really my way of giving back to the community. This is really my way of saying, just as I had so many coaches and mentors and sponsors in my career, I want to make sure that those coming up are also aligned with the right coach to help them move forward. And so I realized that it hasn't been easy for many people to find that right coach. While I feel like it was easier for me because I talk to so many people and I just make friends with a lot of people, I've been able to build a large group of mentors for myself. I know that it's not easy for everyone. And so I want to leave my little grain of salt by creating this experience or this event-based, experience through the coaching experience that allows that individual to find that right coach. Because let me tell you, there is not just your traditional leadership career coach. You got coaches who are grief coaches. You got coaches who are legal coaches. You got coaches who are, mind, body, wellness, health coaches. And so there's and I should say, you don't just need one coach. Right. You can have multiple coaches because you also need diversity of coach, right? That's really important. And so through this, event that I'm curating with my co-partner, Clara Angelina Diaz, together we are curating something that I think is going to be fabulous. And I know that it's going to help so many professionals in the future. So that's the legacy that I'm trying to create right now so that we can create a space where folks will have the ability to continue to grow and build, and they don't have to do it alone, which is so important.
Well, thank you. So where is that event happening? Tell the people where they can, if they are interested to be connected to this event, where is it happening? When is it happening? And how do we connect with you? Absolutely. Someone that does not have that is not in your circle right now.
So the best way to find me is on my website, ennajimenez.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn via Enna Jimenez, on LinkedIn. And there's a contact forms on my website. People can reach out, send me an email. The next event that we're hosting is July 30th of this year, 2026. Registrations will be opening really soon. But people, like I said, we have an open call for coaches. And you can still reach out and connect with me if you're interested. We'll still have a few more spots available. If you would like to be a coach that's participating in this amazing event. And, for those who would like to attend the event, we'll share more information on my website, ennajimenez.com.
Well, thank you so much. 30 years is not just like 30 days of experience. I wanted to make sure that I brought in someone that had the expertise, someone that had the charisma to be able to share that knowledge that they have. And I hope that this episode allowed you to see like the different angle from someone that have sat in organization that generated millions of dollars, and also like paradoxically, and then someone that is also building her own business after leaving corporate America. So it is possible for you. You are equipped to do it. And you just have to take the right step, lay the foundation, and understanding how to build around those pillars and what Enna talked about today. So thank you so much, Enna, for your time.
Thank
and
you.
We're looking for you one day to be back and tell us more about the impact that you've made in Boston with the new initiative that you have for coaches.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here and to have had the chance to connect and meet you further. So looking forward to, continuing to build together.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. Until next episode, remember foundation structure before strategy. See you next episode.